This Aquarius solar eclipse is a brand new beginning, but it comes with a jolt of lightning as the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, is in square, which is abrupt, tense, big shifts, sudden pivots. It's eclipse time. And that means that our experiences around us are going to give us a massive boost to get us in the direction that we want to go. The thing with eclipses, though, is that the way to get there, the path ahead, might be different than what we had in mind. I like to think about eclipse analogies like the bowling lane. It is as if the universe puts up the bumper guards on the side and we are thinking, no, we want to take the gutter there. We want to go via the gutter. It's a clear path. It's dug in. It's straight. But only the world around us knows that that's actually not going to get us to the goal. We're going to miss the mark. And when the bumper guards go in, we might start crisscrossing across the lane and bumping off the edges. And it might feel like a messy ride, especially when we slam into the pins. But then the universe is cheering for us that we knocked down the pins. We got to where we needed to go. This analogy works really well because we don't always know what the spiritual bigger picture is. And we try to resist challenges, pain, difficulty, back and forth movement, the zigzag path. We try to avoid colliding into things like the pins at the end of the lane, but that's actually the whole point. So whatever's going on in your life, keep this analogy in mind if you feel like you're pinging from side to side across the lane of the direction that you're trying to go in that you thought you were going to go in a straight line. I'm going to get into all of the details in a general sense of what you can expect during this time. This is for all signs, so watch this introduction to get information on the new moon eclipse itself. And then check your sun, moon, and rising. Combine all three if you know all three. If you just know one, that's fine too. That'll give you an idea of where in your life this is going to show up. With these general readings, pick and choose the information that resonates with you and helps guide you along your way. This Aquarius brand new beginning solar eclipse is happening at 28 degrees in the later degrees. We also have just had a cascade of Pluto conjunctions and brand new cycles in this part of our chart. Check out my recent Leo full moon video. That will give you a good sense of what's been brewing leading up to this new moon. I feel like in the way that things are playing out, most people are going to know what part of your life is being activated, calling your attention. And this is just no more wiggle room, no more room for delaying things type of moment. This is where you start to feel super motivated. We just had Saturn move into Aries and Neptune. I will link those videos below too, because this is it. This is what so many astrologers have been talking about as far as the moment things really start to pick up. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, where this solar eclipse is, and it is finishing its final degrees in Taurus. It has just moved direct, and it is stationing for quite some time because it is a slower moving planet. Uranus, being the ruler of this moon, will have some overlapping themes with the Aquarius part of our lives. We are talking about radical change, sudden intuition, stronger sense of the bigger picture, the systems playing out. Really, when it comes to the bigger picture of life, like that bowling alley analogy, we cannot really understand sometimes the reasons why our path is not so clear, why the edges feel jagged, and why it's just not always a smooth ride. This can be a time of really sudden, unexpected change and a time to lean into trust that there is something of higher purpose that's playing out. With this ruler in Taurus is a financial part of many people's lives. Taurus speaks to our security in the world that could feel completely shattered as Uranus stations in the final degrees of Taurus. What do we find of pleasure in the earthly realm? How do we nourish our body? How do we feel secure and stable with unpredictable Uranus energy like this playing out? So yes, there is possibility for upheaval, unexpected radical change, U-turns, curveballs, but there's also a little touch of grace, pleasure, harmony, finances. Jupiter is in trine to Venus and Mercury and the North Node in Pisces. This is lovely energy. This is the type of energy that you can get high on when Venus is exalted in Pisces and getting a trine from Jupiter. This is expansive romance, euphoria, pleasure, dissociation. There could be a lack of being grounded in reality. Mercury is our planet of news, and in Pisces, we can experience lack of clarity. Mercury is also about to go retrograde in Pisces, and that can add to some of the confusion, the need to go over material more than once, conversations more than once. But this is about sorting through the muck to get more clarity in the end. The things that we talk about once and we think we understand and we just put it to the side are different than the things that we feel a lack of clarity on, and we spend more time getting into the nitty-gritty and diving into more detail with another person. Mercury in Pisces is a time of heightened creativity, especially with the North Node and Venus co-present here. Venus is our planet of art, money, pleasurable experiences, indulgence. And when we have the North Node, it's similar to a Jupiter energy where we're getting this trine from, and a trine is the energy of Jupiter. We have all of these elements that are amplifying and exaggerating this lovely Mercury and Venus conjunction on the North Node. This could be part of the direction that you're fated to go in, because our eclipse is happening in Aquarius, and that's where the nodal axis is going to move into next. But the nodal axis for now is still in Pisces and Virgo, and our next eclipse is going to be at 12 degrees Virgo, and I will talk about that in a whole other video. So the axis of Virgo, Pisces, Leo, Aquarius has been accentuated for everyone. And let's not forget the touch of Aries with Saturn and Neptune starting their new transits there. I am going to focus on the Pisces Aquarius part for this reading though, and do check out my other videos if you want more on this Aries fresh start energy. That's the big picture. We have energy where Venus and Mercury are as delightful and delusional as they want to be, as they can be. This could be delusional in all the best creative ways. This is beautiful, romantic energy where you can get swept off your feet in any aspect of life, wherever this falls in your chart. That could be part of the carrot that's being dangled in front of us so that we leap into change. And that's what this eclipse is going to support us to do. So let's get into your sign to figure out exactly how this is going to show up. I'm Jen Keen. My astrology readings are based on tropical zodiac, and I incorporate evolutionary astrology, Hellenistic astrology, and a tad bit of Vedic and Western to create an interpretation that is both grounded in the traditional ways of using the aspects, but also an additional edge of what it means for our evolutionary path with where we are at as humans in this day and age. Thank you for supporting this channel in so many ways. The subscribes, the chatting with me in the comments, the reaching out for Zoom calls. It really makes this experience so much more fun. So thank you for all of it. And now let's get into your sign. Hi, Aries. This solar eclipse is happening in your 11th house of communities, friendships, networks. These are your allies, the people who are here to support you in life. Mars conjoined this new moon is your ruler. So this is a new moon solar eclipse that is on steroids for Aries people out there. This is about you. This is about your body, how you connect with groups and people around you. This is big for really aligning with what you value, what matters to you, what's supportive to you with your community. 11th house communities are sometimes people that we just get thrown into the mix of. They are acquaintances. They are bigger groups that we meet through important people. They are our audiences. They are sometimes the networks of people we work with. And it's these loose connections that are not always so visibly meaningful in the moment. It's the big picture where we might go to a party and meet someone very important at that party, but not recognizing that it's the 11th house that was that party. It's the 11th house that brought this dramatic other change in our life. So the 11th house itself, going to a party, can feel quiet, or having work colleagues and acquaintances, and they're not necessarily the people we spend a lot of time with, but here and there, it can drop a really important moment into our life. And this is one of those moments. Whatever you've been going through with Pluto cycles leading up to this solar eclipse could have been a lot of heightened emotional purging. And this moment is much further away from Pluto, so I don't expect Pluto to be as strong in this eclipse. This is more about finally seeing what all of that was about over the last couple of weeks. If you had upheavals with communities and friends, you might be now realizing the direction that those bowling alley gutters were trying to push you into. Venus and Mercury conjoin the North Node in your 12th house is about something you didn't see. So for Aries people, this could be a surprise more than others. That Uranus square coming from your 2nd house is going to be a surprise or a curveball or a change of plans, something radically different for most people. But because the North Node is in your 12th house, there is another layer of what you didn't see potentially coming to light. When it comes to romance, when it comes to your relationships, Venus is the ruler of your 7th house of partnerships. Mercury is the ruler of your 3rd house and 6th house. So you're talking about neighborhoods, communities, cousins, close relatives, short distance travel, work, routines, habits. These things could fall under your radar during this time. With Mercury and Venus in the 12th house, it can be that things are happening behind closed doors. Things are happening outside of your field of vision, behind the scenes. And maybe when Mercury goes direct and moves into your sign in a couple of months, then you will see a lot of this with a lot more clarity. It could be apparent right now, but there is that hidden element. This is an element of looking into your subconscious. There could be hidden romance. This could also play out as energy with assistance to give up a habit that has been keeping you more in the clouds and more dissociated from life in any capacity. And then you have Mercury, the ruler of your 6th house, on the North Node, on the other side of this lunar node axis, causing a polarity with 12th house related matters, which is dissociation, dissolving. It's everything that is opposite to our healthy routines, habits, service to life, service to ourselves, and service to others. So you are refining this axis. This has been a longer journey, and I have been talking about it in lots of videos. This is one of those moments where there could be more of an abrupt shift to the changes that you've been wanting to make with regard to health and habits. When Uranus is square to a new moon, this could come from an awakening or a revelation about what you value. Your assets, your financial security, your security in life. If it has been being rocked by any imbalance in your 6th and 12th house of rest, recovery, recharge, checking out, creativity, spiritual processes, and then putting things into action. How is that balance matching your values of security and pleasure in the world? These are going to be topics because Venus is the ruler of Taurus and it's so active right now. Because these are both in your 12th house and Mercury is about to retrograde, this is a time of recalibration. It's not, we have this boost of energy from the solar eclipse to move forward, but before we see the results of that, Mercury retrograde shortly after is going to encourage us to revise and revisit, rework what we've been doing in order to fit this new epiphany in Aquarius moving forward, and with Aquarius type topics like stepping into what is bold and never been done before, having a different perspective of the way that we looked at things in the past. I really like this for Aries individuals in that this is such a recalibration of self. And it's coming through the day-to-day functions of life, how you balance rest and spirituality, how you bring a spiritual perspective to romance and communication. This could be a intuitively heightened time, and it's through your intuition that your values click into place, how you want to operate in 2026 kicks into place. And with Saturn having just moved into your sign, I will touch on that because that's an extra layer of discipline really working for you, working in your favor. You probably have not felt this, at least in this way, for 30 years. There will have been other components. Since Saturn has mostly been in your 12th house for the last 3 years, your ability to move forward in the direction you want could have been thwarted. We did have Saturn in Aries for the first half of 2025, so it retrograded back in September, and you might have been feeling extra, just not really being able to put things into action since then. So I think for Aries, this is going to feel like a breath of fresh air, even though Mercury is retrograding in your 12th house of unseen realms, energy, meditation, intuition, overseas places. Just take it easy and be mindful of that one not very direct energy. But you're going to be seeing the picture clearly. You're going to know what you want to move forward come your birthday season and beyond. So take any extra rest that you do feel called to. You are still in this North Node activated rest period of your life, but that comes before these major moves forward. We need to rest and regroup our energy so that we can put it all into new directions when they come on hot and strong like this one. So would love to hear how this is going for you, Aries. Thank you so much for chatting with me in the comments. It's so fun to know what's actually going on in people's lives and what the real world looks like from your perspective. As with Zoom calls, wonderful to put faces to this experience. So thank you for reaching out, for subscribing, but for just being here and checking out this video. Have a wonderful Aquarius eclipse in your 11th house, and I will see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This solar eclipse is happening in your 10th house. This is the house of public visibility, status, career, recognition. What is your inner authority, and how do other people see you through that lens? This is an extra potent place to have a solar eclipse because it is on the angles of your chart. You have Uranus in your sign, finishing its final degrees where you could feel more anxious, more electrified, more spontaneous. You could be getting more sudden downloads of information and perspectives that you didn't notice before. For this solar eclipse, Uranus in your sign is squaring this solar eclipse in Aquarius, its ruler. Strong connection to doing something radically different, stepping into new careers, stepping into a new way of managing your status and your visibility. This is an energy that can shatter old ways of being in the world for you. And you've been going through this for quite some time. Uranus is a longer 8-year transit, but it's these final moments that can really pick up the pace and pick up some heat for change. When we go through the final degrees of any transit, it's like there's a big squeeze of anything that we have not picked up along the way that we really need to get out. It comes now. Something about your status could change. Something about your career could change out of the blue suddenly. If this feels uncomfortable in any way, do know that it is just speeding up the process of where you want to go. It just might not be the way you thought you were going to get there. This could show up in really lovely, passionate ways too. Squares and Mars activity is about passion, motivation, initiation. This is drive. This gets things done. And we have been in the muck since Saturn and Neptune went back into Pisces at the end of last year. It's slowed things down. It's made things feel unclear. And a lot of people, it sounds like, have been wanting to move forward, been getting a sense of the direction they want to go in and not feeling like it's actually happening. So this is a moment where that shifts. This beautiful, emotionally amplified, in the most romantic, sometimes even lacking reality and groundedness. This is Venus and Mercury and the North Node in your 11th house of communities and networks that is in trine to Jupiter in your communication house. You could get wonderful news right now. Mercury is about to go retrograde, so it might be something that's going over the past, revisiting something with your communities and networks. And it could be short distance travel. It could have to do with vehicles when you have Jupiter in the 3rd house. Jupiter is in its station direct, and it is going to be at 15 degrees for quite some time, which is an extra powerful and potent degree for Jupiter to be at 15 degrees of Cancer. But beyond that, a station direct adds that much more potency. When Jupiter's in a water sign like Cancer and it's in trine, which is an expansive Jupiter quality of an aspect between planets, this energetic communication between them can feel massively exaggerated. The water signs of Pisces and Cancer mean that we're looking for emotional security. We're looking for a dream to come into fruition and into reality. And for you, this has to do with connections, your allies, your community at large, your audience. You have been redeveloping this part of your life for quite some time, even as much as 14 years since Neptune was in Pisces. And now with Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries of your 12th house, you have this Aries motivational energy, yet the 12th house is still Piscean-like. So you could still find yourself needing a bit more rest, slowing down, leaning on intuition. This is wonderful creative energy for Taurians out there. So any of you who are looking into creative work and creative projects, this could be a moment where that drastically changes. Some of you could be in film and photography because Pisces rules that energy. Pisces is about creating an image and an illusion, and it could be about showing the world and showing your audiences something of that, building a new reality. I do see this as being strongly intuitive energy for a lot of Taurians out there, and Uranus finishing a transit in your sign is going to wake up that part of your life. But beyond that, Mars is the ruler of your 12th house, which is your intuition, overseas places, rest, retreat, spiritual connection, understanding energy, and it is conjoined this new moon. It is coming into a closing cycle, applying conjunction, which is even stronger, and in your 10th house. So there's something of that extra layer of Piscean 12th house energy that's activating your career and visibility potential. Some of you could be in positions of spiritual leadership for your communities, no matter how big or small these communities are. When you have Uranus finishing its final degrees in your sign and in square to Aquarius, Mars is coming into a conjunction with this solar eclipse, but it is also coming into a square with Uranus, and this can elevate anxiety temporarily. Not for everyone. Definitely not for all Taurians, because Taurus is a pretty calm, cool, and collected, steady sign. But I wanted to mention that because if you do feel extra anxiety about your career, your future, the direction your life is going in, this can be part of an energetic upgrade. The way I see your chart being activated is that you have all this spiritual divine energy around you, and those moments of expansion and increased awareness can come with anxiety. We think that spiritual evolution and the path forward when it comes to understanding the energetic world around us is supposed to bring peace and utopia like Pisces resembles. And that could be. But often these changes come with the instability of Uranus and the nervousness of increased sensory perception. It's not a comfortable place to live. It takes adaptation, especially for a Taurus where you might be used to your sensory perception being much more subdued, subtle, clear, calm, and secure. When you have all of this energy being rattled up in more Uranian and Pisces elements, there is a destabilization that's at work, but it's part of the expansion. It's part of seeing and feeling more, and you'll get used to the new threshold. You'll get used to how this feels, and it'll be easier as this transit goes on. But this is a moment where be easy with yourself, take more rest with the North Node in your 12th house and Venus and Mercury there. Take a time out, meditate on some of these changes, go on an overseas retreat. Some of you could be doing that, and you'll find that there's space to do this integration no matter where you are, even if it's just going to bed for an hour earlier or taking afternoon breaks in your room and a time out. I would love to hear how this is showing up for you, Taurus. Always so much fun to chat with you in the comments and see you for Zoom calls. So thank you for that. I will link my booking link in the description below, as well as all of the other Neptune, Saturn in Aries transits that are very applicable for this time and what we have just gone through since the last full moon, where we had this building up of activity with Pluto in your 10th house too. So all of those videos do have extra relevance for this particular eclipse as well. Enjoy the ride, Taurus, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. This is a 9th house solar eclipse for you. So this is all about your beliefs about the world, your perspective, your bird's eye view, how you analyze and make purpose out of all of that Gemini nitty-gritty information that you have the capacity of taking in and absorbing. And then where does it go? How does that change your mind about things? How does that change the views and the ways that you make purpose out of new experiences that are foreign, people that are foreign, places that are foreign? And by foreign, I mean not innately what you came into this world understanding about life. That's what's getting a big shakeup under this solar eclipse. There could be many surprises and unexpected shifts. Uranus is in your 12th house of hidden things coming to light, of the energetic connection to all things, of God, of divine connection, of rest, retreat, overseas places. So this could have to do with travel for some of you. Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius in your 12th house of rest and energetic realms, is squaring this new moon and the sign of Aquarius. Mars is about to come into a square with Uranus too. So there is still abrupt shifts going on, but we have had a cascade of Pluto activations in this part of your chart. And I talk about that in my full moon in Leo video. I will link that in the description below. So there's been emotional upheaval. There has been a purging and releasing of certain perspectives and ways about integrating new information and finding purpose and meaning and truth in the wonkiness of the world. And especially for Gemini, because with Gemini, you're not walking through the world always the most embodied. This is different for each person's personal birth chart. But as a singular archetype, Gemini is an air sign. It is about the cerebral process. It is about knowledge and thinking, and that's the simplicity of it. Your ruler, Mercury, is about to go retrograde in Pisces, which is an element of bringing some fog and lack of clarity after this, or revisiting more of that 12th house spiritual connection that you might have been working on. This Pisces part of your chart is about career, how you create self-authority out in the world, your public image, your status, how people see you. This has been an area that you've been working on for quite some time, with Saturn and Neptune here having now moved on, but we still have the North Node, and the North Node is what makes this new moon an eclipse. It's the proximity to the North Node. But they're in different signs. So by whole sign interpretation of your chart, it is both the 9th house of the higher purpose and meaning to everything, and your 10th house of career and status and visibility. So what is it about the bigger picture and the higher purpose to knowledge and your career and work out in the world that wants to come together right now? You might really want a job or visibility out in the public for understanding spiritual concepts. You might be in film. You might create imagery and art for the world. Venus is in Pisces in your 10th house right now too, co-present with Mercury. They will conjoin, and we have the North Node amplifying energy there. So you just might want more purpose in your career. You don't want to just blindly go on gathering knowledge without it funneling into a higher picture that can have a big impact on the world, maybe even. When I'm talking about the sign of Pisces and the presence of Venus, the North Node, and Mercury there right now, the exciting part about this moment is that they are in trine with Jupiter in your 2nd house. Assets, abundance, money coming in from your career. This is an energy where you could get status and recognition, bonus, income. And you're finding that somehow through this recognition, maybe even financial bonus, that there is a new layer of meaning in your 9th house. Some of you could be teaching. This solar eclipse in the 9th house of Aquarius could mean that you're taking on a teaching position. A new teacher could come into your life. It is through teachers that we also have more meaning and purpose in our lives, or becoming a teacher. For those of you where this applies, this could also mean that your audience is growing, and that's the 11th house of Aries, where you now have Saturn and Neptune. I have linked videos below to get more information on Saturn's last 2 years in Aries and Neptune's longer journey there. So check those out if you want more information on that. But for this moment, there is a big activation coming with your ability to lead people in some way. It looks like your purpose and truths are having a trickling down effect and those that surround you, or you're getting assistance from allies and like-minded people on this spiritual journey and path. And maybe you are teaching, but it's not all on your own. You have a lot of support and a teaching team going alongside of you. Because there's so much career and authority activation as well, it could be that in career you are taking on leading a team, and that has a bit of a teacher role. When you're taking on leadership like that, there are shared visions. There is a higher purpose to gathering together and working towards a common goal. This is a moment where you get clear on your why, and you can design a business model around higher purpose and meaning that everyone can get on board with. Those are typically the most successful career advancements, when there's a heartfelt higher purpose why. And that could be Saturn and Neptune moving into your 11th house, where we have a project in mind that is for the greater good. It's humanitarian. Humanitarian collective goals are activated in your 3rd house, and this is about reducing suffering for humans, making life easier, the things that we don't like about the world. This is an energy where you could have a lot more spiritual, intuitive guidance around what really matters, and changing your vision of work for yourself and others. So there's going to be a lot more meaning for you, Gemini. This is no longer an era for you where you're happy or satisfied just gathering information and not doing anything with it. You want purpose, you want meaning, you want the big picture, you want people on your team, you want to work together, and you want to grow something really important. And you are in a position to be in leadership of that right now. So everything that's been going on in your life, if it feels chaotic, unstable, emotionally purging, and going through these cycles of upheaval, you're going to get more clarity now, and you're going to understand that, and you'll start to see that there was a bigger purpose to all of this. Thank you for checking out this video, Gemini, for chatting with me in the comments, subscribing, reaching out for Zoom calls. I will link my booking site in the description below. But thanks for just making these videos come alive in any way. It is so much fun chatting astrology. Have a wonderful Aquarius solar eclipse, and I will see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is an 8th house solar eclipse for you. So this is all about shared resources, shared energy, deep intimacy. When you have Aquarius as the overarching archetype for your 8th house, there's an element where you are detached and you are looking at things from an observer perspective. This helps you see the big picture of your psyche, of intimacy, of how other people operate at a psychological level, and maybe how your psyche works as well. This always comes in layers for each of us. We don't see the workings of everything all at once because our human brains can't handle that. It comes in layers, and that's the Scorpionic 8th house process. When we match that with the archetype of Aquarius, it means that there's more of a moving outward to see everything, and then moving closer and closer to deal with it bit by bit, and to not be so disengaged from the system as a whole. I see this being breakthroughs for intimacy and deep connection as you come closer to merging with another person, merging with your own psyche. This can show up in actual financial ways. So you might have the beginnings of a new fated financial support from another source. This is other people's money that's here to support you. Mars co-present here with the point of the new moon, solar eclipse, and approaching this point. Uranus in square to this eclipse. This is sudden change. The 8th house, as it is, manages and rules sudden reversals. What once was is now the opposite. If you have had a lot of financial support, one of those or many might change, and it may be time to shift the ways that you engage with finances with other people. Whatever process you have been on with your own psychological transformation and merging in an intimate way with other people, that could completely change. Uranus is in your 11th house, and it could be someone from your communities, your networks, your allies that comes out of nowhere and is part of the catalyst for change here, part of a catalyst for sudden reversal. It could be through communities, networks, audience that you gain a new source of financial support as well. The nodal axis is an inseparable part of this story because the nodal axis is what makes an eclipse, and that is still in Pisces and Virgo. The North Node is in your 9th house of Pisces with Mercury and Venus on each side. Mercury is about to go retrograde. This speaks to the purpose, the point, again, the big picture. This is how you make sense of the world, your belief systems about the world, teaching, finding new teachers. This is also an energetic spiritual process for a lot of Cancers out there because Pisces rules your 9th house. Jupiter is in your sign. It is stationed direct. You're going to start to feel the brewings of the power of Jupiter come back. Jupiter moved into your sign in June of 2025, and it went retrograde November 11th of 2025. In that period, whatever momentum you were working on, whatever you were moving towards, whatever was healing in yourself, whatever was expanding in your life could come back into vision. And the moment of this solar eclipse is accentuating what you learned what grew, what changed, what healed from June until November of 2025. And it's bringing that back into focus. But you've done this integration retrograde period since November with Jupiter, and there's still more to go because Jupiter is not direct yet. It's still in its station energy, but it's building in potency, and it is in trine, which is a Jupiter beneficial angle to the North Node, Mercury, and Venus. This is amplifying the power that you have within your own skills and your tools to create a newly developed perspective of the world. With an eclipse happening in Aquarius, it could be a perspective that has not been applied yet, that is uniquely your own, and you're applying it to your intimate relationships or your own psychological transformation before you share it with the world. Or at the same time, you do have Uranus in the 11th house. So it could be that there's a back and forth between communities, networks, organizations that you're a part of, how they're helping you and assisting you in this process, and how you're doing the same for them. The 9th house, where the North Node is, and Mercury and Venus, is about teaching. And teaching doesn't always come in the traditional academic format. It comes in watching and mirroring and coexisting with the people that go alongside of us. And that's what's showing up in your chart for this eclipse. So on one side of the nodal axis, you have your 9th house, where your perspectives, your beliefs, the point of all of this is changing the way that you teach others, the way that you integrate information to make sense of the world. On the other side of that, the South Node sitting in your 3rd house. Something is being released around the way that you use your mind on a day-to-day basis, the way you take media in, the way you exchange media, the way that you use your mind. You're implementing new systems, potentially new ways of operating in the world that are eclipsing out some of the old ways of functioning, the ways that are holding you back, the ways that are wasting energy, the ways that don't fit in to a higher purpose of the 9th house. Mercury is about to retrograde in your 9th house. And so you're going to for the next month, you're going to be revising. There's something happening at the solar eclipse, even if it's at an energetic level, that's encouraging a revision of the purpose of everything, the bigger truth, and what it is that really matters from your beliefs about the world, and how you want to funnel the function of your brain in a day-to-day way into this greater importance, into something that's meaningful. We're in a new world of humanity where information is unlimited. It's endless, and we're seeing how much energy we can waste with nonsense. This is what this chart speaks to me for Cancers out there, is that you want depth with your 8th house being activated. You want psychological change for you and the people around you. You want purpose, you want meaning, you want people who are on the same path and trajectory as you. Jupiter could have done this, encourage a connection of more healing of self, and Jupiter is the traditional, by classic position, Jupiter is the ruler of the 9th house. So this is another overlapping piece where life has to have purpose for you now. Life has to operate under a meaningful truth and not just wasted nonsensical energy, as we can all spin in that and dissociate in that. And there's value in knowledge, but mostly when it's applied, mostly when it's used and functional. And for you, this is about deepening your connections, using your resources with others effectively and towards something that really matters. I would love to know how this is showing up for Cancers. The details can be so different, and I really just try to embrace the types of energy and ways that this could show up in that capacity. So it's fun hearing in the comments how it's actually playing out for you. Thank you for connecting for one-on-one Zoom readings. If you would like to meet me for a one-on-one astrology reading, I will link my booking site in the description below. But thank you so much for just hanging out here, for subscribing to the channel, and have a wonderful solar eclipse in your 8th house. Hi, Leo. You have had so much activity in your 7th house of partnerships, and this solar eclipse is no exception. This is a fated moment that is helping you on the trajectory of where you want to go in partnerships. This is curveball energy. This is designed to shift you into something that has not been done before. You have Aquarius as the archetype of your 7th house, and this means that you're taking the best maybe of all of the systems that are already in place when it comes to relationships, and you're making it your own. There's something through career status. The ruler of your 7th house, Aquarius, is Uranus, and it is in your 10th house, squaring this new moon, which is a very quick aspect. It's complete tower moment, reversals at times, something in your career, your public image, your status, how the world sees you, how you operate with a sense of authority. This is a way of getting things done in the world that has a system in place that works for you, that's very functional. When Uranus is in your 10th house, you could be breaking through the mold of what has traditionally been done, what was passed down to you as a safe mode of operating, what you have done without question, because there's a safe foundation to operate from. But Uranus comes along and it wants to test the strength of those existing foundations. That's part of how we change as humans. We could use old systems and structures for as long as we want, but where's the growth in that? And where's the fun in that? And where's the new level of efficiency, modernization, and expansion? That's what Uranus is asking at this time. Mars is co-present with this new moon, almost in conjunction. And that means that something abrupt is changing. Something is bringing more passion into your relationships. Some Leos can have more of a disconnected approach to significant partnerships. It's not with the intention of being disconnected. With Leo, there's a strong desire to connect, but there's a wanting to understand the big picture. There's a wanting to be seen that inevitably can mean distance or disconnection, or being too much in an observer role than a participant role. This is the type of energy where you want to reassess how you're operating with your one-on-one partnerships. Regardless of what situations are playing out or how they are playing out, it will be radically different for each person. But this is going to be a shift of where you have been and where you're going. And ultimately, it's going to direct you in the big picture to where you want to be. It's just the way we get there can sometimes look a lot different. The nodal axis is sitting in your 2nd and 8th house. The North Node's in your 8th house. This is intimate bonds, psychological transformation. This is Pisces for you. We have Mercury and Venus here. And this is inseparable from the eclipse we're talking about because it is a newer full moon that happens close to the nodal axis that makes it an eclipse. The node is pointing to that psychological piece about bonding. What is it about your own psyche that's about to be unraveled as Mercury goes retrograde here? That you're about to have a redo over how you operate in relationships, with finances, with pleasure, with connection to other people and shared resources. Money is definitely a hot topic. So is enjoyment of life, what romance means to you when it actually comes to putting in the psychological work of what's romantic, what's pleasurable with connecting to another person. Where is it that you want to go in life, or that you're being called to by this destined North Node point to deepen and enrichen your psychological transformation of self and with another person as you grow and merge with others? The 8th house is about our own psyche and our own transformations and those sudden reversals that can happen, but it often is about other people. How you share energy with other people. For Leos, this eclipse is very much about you and them, me and we, and not in a group sense. This is one-on-one, intimate relationships. How do you make them work for you? How do you help them fit this design of what you believe relationships should be? Uranus in your 10th house in square to this new moon tells me that you are in charge of this. You're one of the signs that are on this fixed sign axis and angles where the main parts of your chart are lit up. This is the place of your chart where the sun was at its highest that day, lowest, and the horizon of your birth. And when big events like an eclipse hit this part of your chart, things change. It might not be today, it might not be this week or even this year, but this is the beginning of a new trajectory, and you are about to have the nodal axis in your sign of self and partnerships. You are going to have the North Node specifically move into your partnership house and the South Node in your sign, and that's going to bring a quality of letting go of old ways of self and being and whatever being a Leo means to you. If there are parts about being a Leo, sun, moon, or rising that are holding you back from connecting and bonding deeply with others, that's what's showing up. It's starting now, and it's going to be over a 2-year process. I see this having a lot to do with your intuition, with your spiritual connection to the world. You have Jupiter in your 12th house, which is all about rest, retreat, connecting with the energy first. What is it about the energy that you carry forward in the world that is creating action in other parts of your chart and creating the world around you? Jupiter in trine to the North Node, Venus, and Mercury in your 8th house is showing you where your intuition is guiding you to these psychological changes, to transforming how you operate in relationships and with money from a subconscious psychological approach. This can be a time where it can be uncomfortable in the moment to go through these cycles of an inflamed subconscious awareness. This is another thing that happens in pieces in astrology and in our human world, is that circumstances will unfold around us that illuminate a subconscious pattern that we weren't aware of, a way that we were operating in the world to make choice and action that was maybe driven by something like fear, control, jealousy, a need to protect and hold on to what we have for safety rather than love, unconditional trust, and going with the flow of merging with another person. The South Node is on the other side of your 8th house in your 2nd house, and this is about letting go of the ways that you have held on to certain assets and possessions and allowed it to define your relationships and your connections and your subconscious in a certain way. There's a letting go of ways of managing your own energy. So if you've been self-preserving, that can sometimes limit merging with another person. If you have been overly bleeding your energy into things, people, places, whatever it is, there's a drain and a loss of self that can also limit an ability to function the way you want to in relationships. When there's a happy balance in the 2nd house of things you're attached to, the way you manage your resources, how much or how little energy you give, and how much or how little money you spend on things. Over time, when you adjust the flow of this, that also makes 8th house merging topics different. It's your own energy that is in healthy balance first, and then merging with another takes on a different quality. So it doesn't mean that you have to do this in isolation with or without another person. A lot of Leos are going to have significant people in their lives, whether that's romantic, marriage, long-term relationship, karmic relationship, business partners. It's through these people that you're going to see this reflection of my energy, our energy, my possessions, our possessions. Where is the flow, and where are you feeling held back and limited by old ways of operating with the energy in your life? I would love to hear from Leos out there. I love it when the angles get lit up, when partnership stuff comes to light. This is such a big part of what drives and motivates us in life when we're talking about 7th house Venus topics. When we're talking about 2nd house topics, money, love, pleasure, these are really important things. So I hope it's all going really well for you. It's so much fun hearing about these details in the comments. So thank you for reaching out there. Thanks for contacting me for one-on-one Zoom calls. It's so much fun to meet you that way. I will link my booking site in the description below. But for now, have a wonderful eclipse in your partnership house, and I will see you next time. Hi, Virgo. This is the 6th house solar eclipse for you. So this is a fated brand new beginning in your habits, your routines, your service to self and others, your health. This is a moment that can mark the beginning of radical change that you implement in the routines of your life. This is the Virgo house by classic position. This is what you're all about. It's how you organize your day-to-day life, how efficient you are at gathering all the pieces that you need to get done, how diligent you are with your health practices. And with this particular transit, the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and it's squaring this new moon eclipse from your 9th house of beliefs, perspectives, foreign places, foreign people, integrating knowledge that is new or not yet integrated into your way of being. And this means breaking free from security in some way, because Uranus is finishing its transit in Taurus. So it's breaking away from what you've held on to that's familiar, secure, reliable, maybe even. What it is that brings you pleasure versus what it is that is really good for you in a day-to-day way. And the 6th house does not have to lack pleasure. With energy like this, it looks like you're integrating both a little bit more, but maybe in a healthier way. The nodal axis is still in your sign with the South Node, and your partnership 7th house with the North Node. In the 7th house, you have the North Node, Mercury, Venus, and Mercury is about to go retrograde in partnerships to bring you back to old topics of how real are you being in relationships, because your 7th house is ruled by Pisces. It's sometimes the dream or the ideal, the lack of groundedness because you want to create something out of opportunity and optimism. It's the rose-colored glasses in the 7th house. And I say opportunity and optimism because Jupiter is in your 11th house, trining these 7th house planets at the moment. This means that community, networks, your greater social circle, the organizations that you're a part of, the people that have a similar agenda to you are your allies, the ones that are helping you walk through the world because you're exchanging and connecting ideas that are on the same page. There's relevance. Something about these communities and networks is getting expanded very soon when Jupiter goes direct, and it's taking the lessons that you've had in your partnership house, with Venus here being what you value, what you find pleasurable, what you find beautiful, and Mercury here being what you want to talk about. How clear and concise are you in addressing those needs with other people and addressing your values? That's where some fog, some things you need to sort through could come up first. And in that process, you get really clear with other people on what it is that matters to you and on what it is that you want and need moving forward in creating something that's practical, functional in a day-to-day way, fits your daily routines, the health habits that you want to bring forward, and how that's working with other people. If this is work related, you're dialing in a system with work partners and colleagues because of the 11th house components. So you have both the greater, bigger picture of your connections highlighted here, your very important one-on-one connections highlighted here, and what is functional about that. How does that work on a day-to-day way with you? You're feeling fired up with Mars in your 6th house to create these changes, to make something radically different from a system perspective first, because we're talking about Aquarius in the 6th house. So what is it that you're observing about the systems and the systematic way you approach your health, your habits, your daily routines that is getting a jolt of motivation right now? It's likely going to have to do with a perspective shift. It's likely going to have to do with integrating foreign people, places, and concepts in a new way that's meaningful, purposeful. And how does that radically turn on its head or shatter old ways of operating with your health and routines? I love this energy for Virgos because it's houses that really matter to you that are lit up. You are a 6th house person, but you're not doing this alone. Your partnership house is lit up. Your community sector of your life is lit up. And the one last transit of Uranus in your 9th house of perspectives and beliefs shifting before this moves into your 10th house and you start to radically change who you are out in the public. There's a little bit of reworking to do first of the systems and people at play that are helping you get there. Mercury is your ruler as well. So having your ruler in Pisces, co-present with Venus in the North Node, one, it's a boost of energy temporarily because the South Node is in your sign and that can deplete energy. That can be things that you're working on of letting go of self, and that can be fatiguing because there's a processing that goes on when you're reworking who you are, the assets and innate skills that you bring to the table, and recognizing that some of them aren't working. That can be through a bit of trial and error, and you're shedding those which can have a depleting energy, as the South Node is said to have. When Mercury, your ruler, is with the North Node, you get a boost of energy. You get a rebirth in Pisces. But be patient while it goes retrograde for the next month, and there are some reworkings to do before this really hits full motivation. But I do like this extra balance of Mercury with the North Node for this solar eclipse, because it really gives you the gusto and the energy, or at least the connection to intuition when it comes to working with other people, that is going to really help you and give you a boost right now. 2 weeks after this solar eclipse, there's a lunar eclipse in your sign, Virgo, at 12 degrees. My next video will go into more detail about that. But this is a big time for Virgos, and then your ruler Mercury will go into Aries in the middle of April. And that is going to be when you really feel this fire. Your ruler will be direct. It'll be in a fire sign. So be patient while this eclipse energy is happening. You will have bursts of extra energy and motivation, but it's going to come with a lot of reworking, and do be patient with that. For now, I like this brand new beginning in your 6th house. You've had Pluto go through new cycles with your ruler, Venus, these planets we're talking about in Pisces now, and Mars and the Sun, though, leading up to the Leo full moon that we had last. This Aquarius part of everyone's life is getting such attention right now. So you've been feeling this energy brewing for a while. This is a moment of anything that you have not been wanting to do that is not quite shifting. Things line up so that you have no choice but to follow the fated path. And that's the path that's going to help you the most, where you want to go. It's all about you in a lot of ways, Virgo, and the changes that you are going through. So I would love to hear how this is playing out in your life. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments. So thank you for making these videos come alive through that, and for meeting you on one-on-one Zoom calls. It really is the absolute most fun to go through the birth charts. So I will link my booking site in the description below if you want to check that out. For now, have a wonderful 6th house Aquarius solar eclipse. The next one is all about you, and I will be here to talk about it all that much more. See you next time. Hi, Libra. The topics of the transits lately have all been about your 5th house of Aquarius, and this is where the solar eclipse is happening in your chart. A solar eclipse in your 5th house is about a moment that opens up a new path towards what is radically, uniquely you. This is coming from the ruler of Aquarius as well, Uranus, in your 8th house, squaring the 5th house. What is it about your psychological transformation your ability to merge with other people, other people's resources. What is it about resources that you share with another, that you make decisions with another, that are affecting your choices for fun, play, hobbies? This can be a time where financial restructuring makes decisions for how you move forward in fun. And you realize you could adjust how you spend resources on this fun, play, romanticizing part of your chart. And children, the fifth house represents children. So some of you might have dramatic changes that your children go through. You're realizing that they are becoming their own people, and that adds a new creative flair to your own life. Sometimes having children can teach us how to be more authentically childlike ourselves, which is getting down to what that true nature of self is before we learned how to respond to fear in life, how to develop career skills, how to get along with people. These are all skills that can mask a creative quality inside of us that needs some balance and needs to come out. Mars is the ruler of your partnership house, and this Aries part of your life is getting a lot of attention with Neptune and Saturn now there. I have made a few videos on that, and you can check those out if you want more information on this Aries part of your chart. But partnerships, the ruler of Aries is Mars. That's the ruler of your partnerships, and it is also conjoining this new moon eclipse in your fifth house. So there's an element of significant one-on-one relationships and how that affects your ability to have fun and be authentic and be you. How you operate when you're in that infatuated romance stage of your life versus who you really are. Another important layer of this eclipse is the North Node and South Node axis, which is your 12th house, and the North Node is in your 6th house of work and day-to-day life and health. This is an important layer. Venus is here. Mercury is here. Venus is your ruler. Venus is also the ruler of your 8th house, where Uranus is stirring up this radical psychological transformational change and can join this North Node. But Venus represents values, harmony, beauty, what you spend your money on, what matters to you in romance and bonding with another person. Mercury here is about communication and your mind, and how your mind works with Venus to create this day-to-day harmony with others. With all of these houses being highlighted, there's a connection and theme that's running through all of them that has to do at this new moon with you and your creative self-expression. But how do you maintain that in your day-to-day life? How do you add a psychological flair and transformation and bird's eye view to what's going on in your world? How do you look at your own psyche from an observational perspective and see how it's affecting who you are in getting to know people, who you are at a creative, vibrant soul level, and how you put that into your day-to-day life, how that reflects in your health, how that reflects in your relationships, because Mars is a big theme in this moon. I see a lot of Libras really putting themselves into health and routine right now. And you're seeing that it's these day-to-day little things that you do every day with the North Node here and your ruler Venus here that make a difference in your mind. And that's what's going to affect this Uranus transformation in your 8th house of psyche. And it really affects your creative self-expression. So you're breaking through these layers of what's getting in the way of what's authentic. You're understanding the parts of your psyche better from an observational perspective. And you're putting all of this into practice in a day-to-day way that brings more alignment with your values, more fun, more beauty, more pleasure, better health. This is a time with Venus conjunct the North Node in your 6th house where you might initially, and especially I haven't talked about this yet because Jupiter is trining it, so this inflames and exaggerates this point even more. You might have a drive towards pleasure over work and function. You might have increased sugar cravings when Venus is conjunct the North Node. The 6th house isn't necessarily about what we eat. That's the 2nd house. Venus is the classic ruler of that though, so there are some tie-in threads. But the 6th house is, well, this is my personal example. It's that constant snacking that I do throughout the day and grabbing a piece of, it's now carob, which is caffeine free, which helps. And I have less reactivity to carob than cocoa, but having those little carob bites throughout the day to deal with things that I'm not necessarily looking at, which is the 8th house. So if you can pick up what I'm laying down, it is about reworking your daily habits in a way that's more functional. And with Venus here, you might see an inflammation first of what is pleasure driven and not function driven. And by no means do we need to erase the pleasure driven stuff. That's here for a reason. We are meant to enjoy pleasure on Earth, and most of us don't do enough of that. But the key is to balance and harmonize what's productive and effective and functional and working in our lives with the 6th house for you. And where does pleasure fit into that? Where do healthy layers of pleasure fit in? And that's up to each individual person where those lines are. We are all in different paths at different times. Myself, sometimes I can go without sugary snacks for years. Other times I am overindulging all the time, and it's an ebb and flow. It's not a perfection recipe. And I want to emphasize that when we have 6th house energies and the North Node in your 6th house, there can be a desire and a scrutinizing yourself for perfection. That's a healthy element for change, but another thing that when unbalanced is more self-destructive than helpful. So keep that in mind. At this time, perfection's not the goal, but it's about slowly adjusting what's showing up in the moment to have a harmony between the work that you put into your life, the pleasure you get out of that work, the functionality, and create more creative self-expression, more fun, more time with your kids, more allowance for your kids and yourself to be unique, creative, individual imprints of the world. And with Aquarius being in the 5th house where this solar eclipse is for you, that bird's eye view of what that all looks like, what that mapping of fun and authenticity can look like going forward. You could certainly feel a charge of motivation for fun with this being lit up in your chart and the other things with Venus being in your 6th house as well. And remember that Mercury is about to go retrograde. You're about to revise your 6th house of health habits, routines, the energy you pour into it, the energetic connection you have to your health and well-being and functionality in the world. So be patient for the next month and more while Mercury does its thing. You could feel that communication while Mercury is in Pisces, especially retrograde, is unclear. It's a little wonky. What you need to get done for work doesn't necessarily feel clear, nor does health stuff or moving forward in that day-to-day practical side of your life. But that's part of the process of when things get crystal clear in April. That's when Mercury is going to move into Aries. It'll be beyond Pisces and you'll feel more of this sorted. So this is the beginning. This is where things show up to show you what changes you want to make. And with Uranus in your 8th house, something could suddenly change with other people's resources and the way they support you that push you along this path in maybe a more uncomfortable way, but a deeply transformational way in getting your creative projects off the ground, in changing how you work with your children, and in changing how you have fun. I would love to hear from you, Libra. It's so much fun knowing what's showing up in people's lives and making these general readings come alive. So thank you for commenting below. If you would like more time with me, check out my one-on-one booking link for Zoom readings. It's so much fun seeing you there and meeting you that way. But thank you so much for just checking out this video and hanging out here. Have a wonderful 5th house eclipse, Libra, a fun place to have dramatic change. And I will see you next time. Hi, Scorpio. This is a 4th house solar eclipse for you. So this is all about your home, what home and safety means to you. And this is at a heart level. This is the family that you were raised in, the place that you grew up in, the current home that you create, your inner world. What is it about these places, these feelings inside of you that create safety or don't? What is it that you want to break through and create more of a radical change with the old systems that you might have adopted from your upbringing? Or your current place. Maybe your current place needs a radical change. This eclipse being conjunct Mars and square Uranus in your 7th house of partnerships. There could be unexpected change with your partner that needs a move, that you need to change actual homes. But for many people, this will show up as energetic transformation of what it means to feel safe and secure in relationships, because Uranus is the ruler of this eclipse and it's in your 7th house of partnerships in Taurus, and it wants stability there. It wants security, reliability, pleasure. It wants to hold on and make things the same so that there's a steadfast, steady approach to all of these things. It's not the most comfortable sign for a Uranian eruption, which is Uranus in Taurus. These fixed signs of Aquarius and Taurus are generally more comfortable when they don't change, or when that change is very slow. Moments like this can feel quite the opposite, where change happens suddenly. But again, it's sometimes just internal change, and it doesn't mean that every Scorpio out there is going to go through radical home changes. But the question is strong about what you value. And when it comes to values, the ruler of that is Venus. She is the ruler of Taurus, the ruler of Libra, the ruler of art, pleasure, fun, creativity, money, romance. And she is in Pisces in your 5th house with the North Node with Mercury. All of these in trine aspect to Jupiter in your 9th house. Alongside where this eclipse is happening, the eclipse is in Aquarius, but the node which creates the eclipse is still in Pisces. That happens when the nodes are still in close proximity to the new and full moons, but have already changed signs. What I want to emphasize is that though I'm talking a lot about 4th house where this eclipse is, the 5th house also has a lot of strong energy happening right now. And this is about your creative self-expression. This is about children, fun, joy, pleasure. This is pleasure that you derive from being authentically you, and that's Venus present here in this part of your chart. What is it about your belief systems, where Jupiter is, that is connecting to your creative self-expression right now? And that's about your beliefs about the world. How are you integrating new information about your 5th house topics of creative self-expression and who you are when you're having authentically aligned fun, what your solar light is all about? How does that connect to the way that you fabricate your beliefs about the world based on your experiences? Are they based on this home structure of safety and security? Are they based in fun and alignment with what is authentically you? And is there middle ground that can be connected around this time? Because Venus rules relationships and you have Uranus very active in your partnership sector, for Scorpios out there, relationships could be a big part of the story that's unfolding and presenting to you other opportunities for what really is fun. Maybe you've been merging with other people and not considering what is really authentically you and what is complemented or not by another person. Sometimes in relationships, and these can be committed friendships, marriages, business partners, these contractual long-term connected relationships that we are a part of in life, they are mirrors. That is why it is the 1st and 7th house, 1st house being self, 7th house being other. And they mirror back to us who we are, how we're operating, how we're acting in the world. So it's not unlikely that it's relationships that are showing you more about who you really are in this moment, how you gather your own beliefs and mindset, and not always merging with another person. It can get confusing, these little nuances. When another person reflects us back to us, it is us. And when we're blending and merging in relationships, we're developing a new self as it works and functions with another person. Is it about full separation? It's about adjusting the nuances at this time to make sure that you are having a lot of fun, that you're connecting with your authentic energy because it's Pisces. So are you connecting to an essence that's truly you, even if the activities are different? That's a piece of this too. I could show up in an activity that doesn't necessarily reflect who I am, but I show up with a certain presence and authentic connection to what I'm doing that holds that space for me to be me, even if sometimes life calls for doing things that are outside of our comfort zone or outside of our norm. And that's Jupiter in your ninth house too, is that it's foreign places, foreign people, foreign concepts, foreign things that stretch the bounds of who we are and how we perceive life. It's not by staying the same. So there's always growth and expansion in who we are and how we see the world. And Jupiter in your ninth house in Cancer is showing you that now. Cancer is the archetype of home, so there's some overlap there. This is where your beliefs and perspectives of what home life can be, what security can be, what a secure heart and feeling connected to other people can feel like. This is energy of letting people in as well. There's a polarity in the Cancer archetype of safety and hiding away versus connection and safety through connection. Or the flip side, where someone leans too much on the security and connection to another person and doesn't have that safety and autonomy. So there's balance of interconnectedness, letting people in, opening up our hearts, feeling safe with other people, and allowing that retreat, that alone time, or that sense of security when we're out in the world, and allowing something inside of us to retreat and find that safe place and that alone time amidst the Uranian chaos that can sometimes happen. Life is not a hideaway experience for most of us. It's about engaging in the world and learning how to do that in a way that feels safe and nurturing with Cancer. Even though by archetype, Aquarius is not a nurturing energy by design, but the fourth house is, and Jupiter in Cancer certainly is. So it's finding nurturing in that dichotomy of sometimes being in situations that lack nurturing or where it's just not found outside of ourselves. I see this being a very inward and reflective energy for a lot of Scorpios. This is about considering what is inside of you as it relates to as it relates to partnerships, as it relates to your physical experiences out in the world of the ninth house, of how you go out and experience new things and integrate them into a purpose and a knowledge for yourself. But first, this energy is about really getting clear on what you need at home, what you need to feel safe, what you need to feel safe and create change or step out of something that's been too confining. And somewhere in the process, leaning into what feels authentically, creatively you, trusting in that energy that it can go with you wherever you are. If children are part of this, it's still a reflection back to what feels true to you for your creative expressions of offspring and how you manage that role and responsibility with a partner. Definitely lots of ways this could play out in the practical world, as always. So it's so fun hearing from Scorpios in the comments and knowing what's going on in your world. Thank you for the shout outs there. Thank you for reaching out for Zoom calls. If you would like to book a one-on-one with me, check out my booking link in the description below. But have a wonderful Aquarius solar eclipse, and I will see you next time. Hi, Sag. This is a third house solar eclipse for you. So a brand new beginning when it comes to your mind. How do you use your mind in a day-to-day way? How do you learn? What media do you take in? What media do you put out? Are you a writer? Anything to do with communication. This can also be sales. The third house is the house of marketplace. There can be a business edge and a trickery edge to Gemini, the third house, and trickery in its most positive manifestations as well. That's what sales is, and it's trickery by accentuating someone's needs and meeting them and understanding how to do that. There's knowledge here. There are tools to use. And you have just had a cascade of Pluto conjunctions in the same part of your chart that has given you an upheaval of shadow things to look at, as they say. And when I use that word, I mean the other side of what's motivating our psychological behavior. Any fear here, jealousy, comparison, the edgier, more challenging side of trickery and manipulation when Pluto's here. All of this energy speaks to getting very clear on what's authentic at a communication level, what it means to communicate in an effective way and use your mind in an effective way that has humanitarian purpose and that starts to break down anything that's getting in the way of that. That's the Pluto piece. And it may have been that over the last few weeks, you have had a cascade of events that have happened that showed you that in a greater way. Those Pluto things. What's holding you back from feeling confident in your learning style, in the ways that you communicate, in the media you put out in the world, and in the ways that you exchange words and language and ideas with other people. If there's resistance to taking in new ideas, that can have a breakthrough moment where you start to look at things that you did not want to look at before and realize that that's actually helpful knowledge. In the third house, we're not necessarily putting a greater purpose into this work. This is mind exercise type work. This is making your mind functional and enjoyable in a day-to-day way. And it's the opposite house, the ninth house of Sagittarius, where we make sense of things, we bring greater purpose to the knowledge, and we funnel it into something that has a direction. That's just to add to give a really good, clear idea of what this third house stuff is showing up for you. Mars being co-present and almost conjunct this new moon is potentially areas where you feel motivated or frustrated or you're having conflicts due to communication and connecting ideas with others or with yourself. Is the way that your mind works on a day-to-day basis, is there a conflict with something else in your life, a value, or a way that you would like to see yourself be when it comes to the things we do to create a healthy mind? Uranus is the ruler of this eclipse, and it is in your sixth house, finishing its final degrees in Taurus. The sixth house is about habits, routines, your daily activities, the service to yourself and others that we put into this world to make it a functional place and to make our lives functional. The very last degrees of Uranus here in Taurus represent what it is in a day-to-day functionality way that aligns with your values and a sense of security. All of this eclipse energy is about radical, unexpected change, sudden shifts, breaking through the old to create something new, having a divinely guided experience that gives you a light bulb moment of what you do want to align with. This is mostly affecting your sixth house and your third house, so mind and your daily habits. This is an energy where I always think about how I infuse my life with positive energy or content energy around my habits not being driven by impulse or dopamine or quick hits of any kind. My habits not being emotionally driven, but rather a purpose that has a bigger image of what I want to create in mind. Not that I don't dive back into those feel-good things in my daily life and break out of habits sometimes, but overall, we're usually gradually working towards refining this part of our life where our day-to-day experience and service to ourselves results in something bigger. When it comes to Taurus in the sixth house for you, if we're operating solely out of security, fear-based security specifically, then the ways that we connect to the things that we need to do might come with some resistance to the things that are actually going to help us get to where we want to go. And rather, we might choose what feels secure in the moment. For you, the third house, I think, especially as it connects to media and electronics and your mental patterns. What are your habits on a day-to-day basis, and how is this limiting your ability to get to where you want to go, to truly feel secure in your work, in your routines, and to do it from a place of real pleasure? That's Taurus. Taurus is focused on stability for the sake of being able to enjoy earthly pleasures. And again, if it's in more of that fear-based zone, likely the actions are not moving towards the goal of real pleasure, alongside a sense of security. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, ruler of your 6th house, and it is currently in your 4th house, co-present with the North Node and Mercury, which is about to go retrograde. The topics here are going to be about the energy you have in your inner world. So Taurus is the 2nd house. It is about financial security and material security. The 4th house is more about your heart security, your home security, your sense of emotional security in your inner world. This is all very connected right now. So what is it about your inner world that's about to get revised with Mercury going retrograde here? This is still where the nodal axis is, so this is very relevant for the eclipse energy. That Pisces part of your chart has just gone through Saturn there, Neptune there, and you're really working on this revision of the energy inside that feels emotionally secure. You can connect that to your financial material security too. That's how I see all of this energy coming together. You are dialing in that emotional security piece, and now you can spread it to other parts of your life so that you can put action into your choices that come from a place of feeling secure. It's these topics of security that also affect our communication. There's a very different quality of communication within Aquarius, within systems and organizations, that comes from feeling secure no matter what our words are. There's an energy that's palpable to others and to ourselves when we choose words based on fear, when we choose mental loops based on fear and insecurity, versus when we're able to switch into something that feels more trusting. And that's the North Node in Pisces. It's about trust, unconditional love, Venus here too. So there's more you're bringing to the surface about trusting the world, trusting the process, even when you feel disconnected, which is what Aquarius can bring. There can be a sense of isolation and feeling different from others, especially as it relates to your style of communication. At this moment anyway, may have been what's been flared up with these Pluto transits. And now you're seeing the other side of that, where unconditional love for the process, for yourself, trust in security, no matter what conflicts arise, no matter how many misunderstandings come about. With Mercury going retrograde in Pisces in your 4th house, there can be more misunderstandings at home, but it's just an element to work through as far as more conversation. And probably with Mercury retrograde in Pisces, this is more about conversations with your own energy, tuning into your body and see how your body reacts with certain words that you use, certain questions you ask, sentences. Does your body constrict, or does it soften and relax? These are the steps towards trust that we build with ourselves when we're working on 3rd house communication pieces. The connection to Jupiter from the North Node, Venus, and Mercury is a beautiful trine, and Jupiter is in your 8th house of psychological transformation, resources from other people. You might see more of the resources part when Jupiter moves direct again. That will shift from the internal process back to the external manifestations of things. Sometimes. But Jupiter right now is about that internal reflection of your psyche. How do you intimately bond with others? How open are you in that process? Are you open to letting other people see where you are psychologically at? Sometimes fear-based mental workings can mean that we by default retract and retreat from others, and that can be an Aquarius quality as well. This Jupiter activation is showing you where trusting in the process, trusting in your own internal ability to shift your energy is changing your psychology. So this to me looks like body activation awareness. You're working on mental habits, mental changes by connecting to how the energy feels in your body, and then helping your brain trust that there can be a new experience. Work and habits could be part of this too, though. So many things showing up for you, Sag, in this particular journey. I would love to hear how this is playing out. It's so fun to have this come to life in the comments. So thank you for doing the shout outs there. Thanks for hanging out for this video. If you would like a one-on-one reading with me, I will link my booking site in the description below. Have a wonderful Aquarius solar eclipse, and I will see you next time. Hi, Capricorn. This is a second house solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius for you. This is all about your assets, your energy, the way that you manage your possessions, your finances, the food that you eat. This is a house of taking care of self, taking care of our security in the earthly realm. And this solar eclipse is getting a square from Uranus in your 5th house, which is about the pleasure of being a child, being a kid again, your authentic creative expression. Uranus here is also the ruler of this eclipse, so it's a very significant connection. And in some ways, both of these houses represent your pleasure, your ability to find enjoyment in this world, to enjoy Earth through your 5 senses is the 2nd house. Bringing joy to the way that you eat, the way that you savor different foods, and putting intention into the things that you spend money on and the possessions that you own. When our energy here is clear and enjoying the world, and we're spending money on things that really matter, we're buying foods that are very nourishing, we are living in more balance and harmony. And it is in some ways, it allows the 5th house to expand as well. It allows you to feel more authentically you. These healthy practices that we do in the 2nd house to take care of our energy and our assets and our bodies and our food expands into how much room we have for fun. During this eclipse, you could be aware of ways that you're bleeding energy into things that you thought were fun, but do not align with your values. The 2nd house is also what we value, the value that you place on yourself as well. This is the energy where the eclipse is taking place. Mars is co-present. Mars is the ruler of your 4th house of home. So there could be some topics pulled into that. But Mars overall is an energy that can cut things. It can add motivation and drive, and you might just instantly have this bigger motivation for taking care of your body and managing your resources in different ways. The square part from the ruler Uranus could come as more of a jarring or stressful experience that helps you get to this place. It comes up over and over again that, and astrology teaches me this every day, that the things that might feel stressful in the moment, that might bring us more anxiety, are the things that create the best quick change. And that's what Uranus is known for. That's the ruler of this eclipse, and that's the Aquarius part of your chart. But it's coming with an expanded insight of the big picture of things. You're looking at that 2nd house, values, assets, energy, how you eat. You're seeing it in a different way because of this eclipse. Where the nodal axis is, which is what creates the eclipse when the new moon or full moon is close to the nodal axis, but for this one, the nodal axis is still in Pisces in your 3rd house. This is an area where you've been getting activation for quite some time. And the draw into the 3rd house is about communication, writing, expression, how you use your mind. It can be working with your hands. It rules chickens and siblings and close relatives, neighbors, and short distance travel and vehicles. But the North Node in your 3rd house with Venus and Mercury is an emphasis on your communication and how your mind works. How your mind works in favor of relationships, in favor of beauty, harmony, pleasure, art, Your language right now could become a work of art. You could be in communications about Venusian-like topics around women and spirituality because it's in the sign of Pisces. Mercury going retrograde here soon is going to elongate the period of focus on this part of your life. And these planets are in trine to Jupiter, which emphasizes things even more. Jupiter expands and trines expand opportunities. This is wildly opportunistic. You have Jupiter in your partnership house about to go direct. Jupiter is at its exalted 15-degree mark, which enhances its healing properties more, its expansive qualities more. Partnerships are about to be of huge assistance to you, Capricorn. They are going to help you change these third house and second house topics. So we're talking about the mind, communication, media, marketing, and what you value, your second house of energy. When you have these houses lit up with Aquarius and Pisces, this is transformative at an energetic level. Someone can come into your life that can help you realize the potential for inner energetic transformation that makes all of the outer transformation that much easier. Do remember that with whatever's going on. This is a time where your energy at the core is changing. What you believe is possible is changing. And you're realizing in the second house that when you energetically connect to the value that you have, you're seeing in the second house that when you energetically connect to the things that you value, your money, your possessions, your food, and how you feel about yourself, where is your energy at with those things? Not necessarily your mind. Though the mind is a tool to get our energy in the place that we want to be. So this Aquarius is an air sign. It is a mental sign, but the North Node in Pisces is an energetic watery sign. So that's why we're blending the two. And it's through using the mind to help connect to the right energy that you create these radical shifts and advancements in where you've been and where you're going. Because that's the real trick. If we don't truly believe at an energetic core and trust in the path that we're on and the direction that we're going in, we will keep hitting roadblocks. It is that projection of self that we keep creating self-limiting situations in our lives. And this isn't, I don't want to say this in any way to sound like it has to be perfect and any problems you face are your own doing. We are all in this reworking process of going through dramatic changes of the ways that we were 10 and 20 years ago into working towards an ideal. Big jumps in evolution and what we're capable of. And media is a big part of that. And that's what's accentuated in the third house for you, is that it's through our access to media that we see more of what's available out in the world. But we still need to get from this place of the way we were taught about the practical sides of life and what's possible and staying in our zones and what we're used to and what we're familiar with. And then we see what else is going on in the world, how quickly things are changing, what actually is possible. And this is the type of eclipse that helps merge these energies. And for you, Capricorn, it is about what you value, how you connect with your food, how you connect with the energy of your communication. So funny. I'm in the middle of nowhere. And speaking of technology, I just saw a drone go by that is definitely no one on this particular 60-acre property. So that's interesting. Back to your eclipse though, Capricorn. If you want to get somewhere that you don't feel you're currently at right now, this is a moment where you have the mindset tools, you have the energy connection, you have the opportunity to really shift how you feel about yourself, your possessions, your energy, and the ways that you enjoy life. This is great for Capricorns. No matter what feels like it's going on around you, it's leading you to more fun, more play, more joy in the simple pleasures of life, and more connection to what's authentically you and what really matters. And for Capricorns, you have been going through that for the last 20 years with Pluto in your sign now in Aquarius, but you know what transformation you've been through, each of you at a personal level. And it's hard to even probably remember what and who you were 20 years ago. But this is continuing to unfold now that you've broken down a lot of the old. This is connecting to what's possible. Thanks for being here. Thank you for checking out this video, for subscribing, for chatting with me in the comments. It's so much fun to hear what's going on out there and connect with you that way, as well as my one-on-one Zoom calls. So fun to actually meet you through video. So if you want to book one of those, my booking link is in the description. But for now, have a wonderful Aquarius solar eclipse, and I will see you next time. Aquarius, this is your solar eclipse. This is all about you, your innate skills that you bring to the world. And this is a big activation of being more Aquarian, being more Uranian. And what that means is more unique, more confidence in standing out in your unique differences from the group. Being able to share a perspective and an opinion that is different, that is objective, that sees the world from a glance and from a perspective that other people might need right now. You're also really fired up about maybe anything in life, but Mars conjoining this solar eclipse in your first house is a lot of energy. Mars in the first house on its own, without the presence of a solar eclipse, can feel like a jolt of lightning, especially in Aquarius. You can feel excited, motivated, agitated, frustrated. You can move really quickly and just have more body energy to expend. So it is a great time to put your body into a bit more physical output if you're feeling that way. Do be careful. Be mindful when you're feeling like you're spinning and going 100 miles an hour, because those are times where you just might have paper cuts or break a glass or something like that. There's a lot of energy at your disposal to use right now, and it's exciting. There's something going on with home too. Your ruler is in your fourth house of Taurus, of home, and it's in square to this solar eclipse, which adds an extra electric feeling. This can feel like anxiety for some people, and it really is just a lot of energy coming through your archetype and your sign and your solar position, because it's your birthday month. So be mindful of that if you're just not feeling quite yourself or you're not feeling grounded. It's completely expected and normal for now, and it will pass. Especially with Uranus in your fourth house, which is the grounding place in our charts. It's the core, the foundation, home and family life, your actual home, your inner world. It could be energy like this that sends you past your limits of what's comfortable for pent up energy inside of you, or a sense of lack of grounding, depending on how much earth you have in your chart or other placements. So this then could be a good time to implement new tools at home or with yourself and your body in how you ground and how you manage these times of heightened activity. There's beautiful energy in your financial sector of the second house with the North Node, Venus, and Mercury here getting in trine with Jupiter in your sixth house. So you are healing work, routines, habits, your daily life, your service to self and others is getting a huge boost, and it's coming from really knowing how to manage your energy now. You've had longer transits here in Pisces, as we all have, and this is a moment where things are really clicking into place with Venus's presence and the North Node still charging up this part of your life. You're feeling that energetic connection of trust in what is, with the energy of your body and your assets, with moving in a direction that connects first from an energetic point, having a lot of value in that for what you are capable of and yourself and how you want to spend your energy. That's where value and abundance starts, is how do we value our own energy? How do we manage over expenditures, under expenditures? When we align with what really matters to us, it's not about holding back and not spending money or energy. It's about doing it in the right places. And Venus's presence here is the sign of assets and abundance, and it brings that much more beneficial energy to this part of your chart. Venus loves being in Pisces. So that energy of Venus is going to come in a really positive way. In amplified trine, beautiful energy with Jupiter, there are many opportunities for you to do work that adds to your self-worth and adds to your abundance. Maybe some of you are getting more into cooking and savoring your food and enjoying very gourmet meals, and that's adding to a healthy routine. It's one of the things that is spoken about often when it comes to shifting a habit. We don't want to force ourselves to let go of something. We want to replace it with something that we enjoy even more. That's the real way to change behavior and change our daily routines. And that looks like what you're doing. You could be spending money on work stuff that you need. But again, this would be something that would make your work environment easy and more beautiful and more beneficial for you to really enjoy the sixth house work and routines. Especially having Jupiter in this part of your chart, you're healing energy here. And in that healing process, you're making room for more work and more routines. You could be busier with stuff that you do in a day-to-day way. So you really need to enjoy it, because the sixth house can be the house of slavery or the house of service. And to me, they're very different things. Service with a smile, service is something we enjoy, service is something we get energy back from, and that's bringing me back to the second house, where energy out brings energy in. That's more the second, eighth house axis, but there's still a quality of how energy flows that's really important. So when we do our day-to-day work or we do our routines and we don't find harmony there, we dread it, we dislike going to work, the results are not going to be so good. We might even procrastinate. But if we put systems in place that make what we do every day enjoyable, then it's easier to stick with it and have it go the long haul. With an eclipse like this, Aquarius, there are curveballs, there are sudden reversals. What has been might be completely different with Pluto in this Aquarius first house of yours as well. Make room for radical change. Don't worry if it spikes your energy temporarily. It's part of the process. It's part of realizing where you have been and where you want to go. And the situations around you are giving you the perfect nudge to do that. When it comes to the second house of values and assets and self-worth, Venus here is also the ruler of your ninth house and your fourth house. Mercury rules your fifth house and your eighth house. So I just want to add a bit more to that, in that the ninth house being your beliefs about the world, foreign places, foreign people, travel. The eighth house is that psychological reversal that you certainly could be going through with all of this Uranian energy firing you up. And home, and then your creative self-expression. So these are important pieces in what's changing in your assets and self-worth. You need to change your belief systems, take in foreign ideas and concepts, which you are good at as an Aquarius. That's what you are designed to do, is to see and incorporate all things into a system. But your psyche and your home life and your inner world are important pieces to what's changing in your creativity and changing in yourself. This could be a whole new you, Aquarius, and we have more eclipses in the sign of you and Leo, your partnership house. So the axis of Leo and Aquarius is going to be lit up next year and the year after. So there's more fated change on the way, and whatever it is that you're working towards, it's going to help you get there in ways that are beneficial and you just didn't even expect or see coming. I would love to hear from Aquarians out there. Everyone needs to hear what's going on in the Aquarians world right now because of this jam-packed Aquarius energy that's affecting everyone. So thank you for connecting in the comments. It makes this work that much more fun. Thank you for reaching out for Zoom calls. It's so fun to meet you on video. And if you would like to do that, my booking link is in the description below. Have a wonderful eclipse in your sign, Aquarius, and I will see you next time. Hi, Pisces. This is the 12th house solar eclipse for you. You're embarking on a big journey of Pisces-like things. This is the house of Pisces, unseen realms, intuition, rest, connection to energy and spiritual things, anything unseen. So this also represents the vastness of the ocean because it is a whole world under there that we don't see. Being close to the ocean, overseas places. This is also about gaseous substances and vapor in the air that we also don't see. When you have all this activity in this part of your chart, it's a really big amplification and turnover. You've had all of these Pluto conjunctions here. You now still have Pluto and Mars co-present with this eclipse, and getting a square from your third house with Uranus there. Uranus being the ruler of this eclipse in Aquarius, and square being the energy of Mars, quick, sudden, abrupt. This could be mediumship for some people. Out of nowhere, you could start to actually develop a connection to clairaudience more strongly. A small few of you. The third house where Uranus is represents communication, writing, media, short distance travel. You could be going somewhere unexpectedly, short distance trip where you're going to rest more. There can be loss and dissolving in this 12th house area of life, but it's something that is very faded. It doesn't mean that there's going to be dissolving energy for everyone. This can be about a beginning where you're starting to use your intuition in writing and media and in connecting with other people. Whatever it is, it might come unexpectedly. It might be a surprise. The 12th house rules unseen, unexpected things. So you have a lot of energy of something coming to light that you didn't really see coming. But this is exciting energy. This is evolutionary energy when we're talking about Uranus and Aquarius. It's seeing the big picture. It's having a system in place. For those of you working with energy and 12th house, things that connect to that, you might be developing new systems and writing about it and maybe teaching people about it. It could just be that communication comes in out of nowhere and shifts something really important for you. All of the beneficial energy for this eclipse, the eclipse is beneficial too, but the most beneficial part of it is in your sign. You have Venus, you have the North Node, you have Mercury. You're about to get Mercury retrograde, but Venus in your sign is a wonderful time to be seen in a good light. Typically, it's a great time to get haircuts, beauty treatments, go shopping, anything that has to do with upgrading your physical appearance to match the new energy that you're in. But with Mercury retrograde, I would play it safe with any dramatic changes or spending a lot of money. It just might not turn out exactly how you expect. That aside, Venus is still incredibly beneficial here. Not only are you going to be seen in a good light, but it could have to do with relationships. Mercury is the ruler of your partnership house, and it could be bringing a partner back from the past. Venus being romance and partnerships and relationships. So there's a lot of emphasis on that in your sign. It could just feel extra important to you right now. But Jupiter also in your 5th house. This is about romance, play, dating. Jupiter's stationing to go direct, and it amplifies an energy when it's stationing to move forward in a very positive way. On top of that, it's at 15 degrees, which is its exalted point in Cancer. So you have wildly beneficial energy in your 5th house of creative self-expression, romance, dating, play, children. Wonderful time to go out and meet people. Wonderful time to have fun and people from your past come back that you go out and have fun with. This is playful energy. This is creative energy. Wonderful time to be in creative projects for Pisces. Your intuition is on high. Your ability to connect with energy in a way that's deliverable to many, many people is accentuated. It's also going to be fun. It's going to have more Piscean essence, and you're going to feel more like you in this process. The fifth house has that quality too. But when you have the North Node in your sign with Venus and Mercury, you have this ability to really shine. You have the gift of gab. Well, Mercury's somewhat direct. It is in shadow, so it already has slowed down a little bit in its charge. But that could just mean that you're taking your time with this process, whatever it is that you're doing and getting off the ground. It's not going to be lightning speed, which is good because the eclipse energy here does feel like lightning speed. So you have a nice balance with Mercury about to go retrograde, or something could happen with this eclipse, something unseen that you didn't expect that slows down the process of the direction you were going in with relationships and fun and play and yourself changes, or just self or changes that you're working on. But in a good way. Even though we have a Mercury retrograde, it is going to be in trine with Jupiter for a lot of it. So the mix-ups could be higher, but it's going to deliver better results. I like to think of Mercury retrograde as the cosmic salt and pepper shaker that we're getting a little tossed around, but we're landing in a new and better and improved place afterwards. Because Mercury is retrograding in your sign, you might feel like you have extra lack of clarity, not sure what direction you want to go in, especially with partnerships and home-related matters. That's okay. Don't worry about making any decisions on that until Mercury is direct in another 6 weeks. Mercury will be direct on March 20th, and it'll take a bit of time to get out of shadow and regain strength. But after March 20th, you'll have more clarity. So for those Pisces out there, it's your birthday season. Take it easy. Enjoy whatever is coming your way. Venus is here to support you and help you bring more joy and pleasure and fun. And so is Jupiter in your fifth house. Throw yourself a party. Do whatever it is that makes you feel really good around this time. And next we have an eclipse in your partnership house. So I will get into a whole other video with more detail on that one. Very exciting for relationships for Pisces people out there. But I want to know what's going on in your world for this eclipse. It's so fun hearing what's going on in the real world for people. So thank you so much for that, for the shout outs in the comments, for reaching out for Zoom calls and meeting you through video. Also wonderful. My booking link is in the description below. But for now, thanks for just checking out this video and have a wonderful Aquarius 12th house eclipse. I'll see you next time.